Lafayette, I'm Samantha Sanjanito, and welcome to The Vibe. Coming up on today's show, we have an interview with Roger Newton, Lafayette alumnus and co-developer of Lipitor, an interview with political expert and alumnus Christopher Caine, and a highlight from Family Weekend. That's coming up later, but first, here's Eric with the weekly calendar. Hey, Eric.
Hi, Samantha. We have so many great campus events coming up that I couldn't possibly name them all, but here's some highlights of the week to come. First and quite possibly foremost on the minds of students on campus is Homecoming Weekend. Coming out to the quad on Saturday starting at 11 o'clock to enjoy free music and a moon bounce, and then stick around for the football matchup against the Stony Brook Seawolves at 1 o'clock on Fisher Field. On Monday, October 18th, Professor John F. Nash Jr., Nobel laureate and subject of the book and movie A Beautiful Mind, will be giving a lecture on campus. Have you seen A Beautiful Mind, Samantha?
Oh,
Great
yeah.
film.
The one with Russell Crowe.
No, I believe it was Matt Damon.
I believe you haven't seen this.
Anyway, the Kirby Hall of Civil Rights, a building on campus which has been the center of some controversy over the plaque which hangs in its lobby, will be receiving a fresh start next Wednesday in a rededication ceremony meant to mark the 80th birthday of the building. Featured speakers will include Nicholas Katzenbach, former U.S. Attorney General, and S. Dillard Kirby, class of '81, great-grandson of Kirby himself. Attend and become a part of Lafayette history. And finally, for all you politics junkies out there, political debate between the college Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians will take place next Thursday in Kirby 104. Come watch these three student-led organizations battle it out over today's hot-button issues. Also, quick note, the location of the event, Islamophobia, has been switched to the Gendenby Room in Skillman Library. All that and much, much more coming up this week. Just not enough hours in the day, Samantha.
Okay, another exciting week on campus, Eric. Thank you. All right, next up, The Vibe's Luke Calvano sat down with Christopher G. Caine, class of '78 via Skype, to chat about the significance of the 2010 midterm elections.
Today we welcome alumnus Christopher Caine, President and CEO of Mercator 21 LLC with The Vibe today from Washington, D.C. via Skype. Mr. Caine, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, Luke.
Okay, it's not a presidential year and there isn't the same kind of excitement on the Lafayette campus compared to 2008. Do you see this as an important election year?
I do. In many respects, it is a referendum on the direction of our country. So I do. I think it's a very important election, and I think we're going to get a sense for how people are feeling by the turnout as well as the how they cast their votes.
Back when you were a Lafayette student, did you care about politics? And why should a student, perhaps voting for the first time, care about this election?
I came in being a political junkie and got very interested in what Lafayette had to offer on government and law. And ultimately, I ended up majoring in philosophy, but with a lot of political philosophy as the basis and a large segment of government and law classes. Let me talk a little bit about 1974 versus 2010. At that point in time, our country was in the midst of a political soul search. It was the height of the Watergate era and the Vietnam War, and like this election, it was very much being positioned as an inflection point. How did Americans feel about the state and the direction of our country? This election is similar in that regard because we have embarked upon a dramatic change for the future, and I think people are now grappling with both the reality and the aspirations affiliated with that change. So if I were a first-time voter, I don't know why I would want to sit this one out. You can't sit it out and then responsibly complain about the direction of the country.
There's been plenty of speculation, but do you see a possibility in changing control in the House or Senate?
I do think the current thinking is that Republicans will take over the House of Representatives and the Senate will become a tighter margin, a closer chamber. If those things happen, that naturally will slow down the agenda of President Obama. It doesn't necessarily mean that President Obama cannot advance his agenda, but he will have to take into consideration other points of view that are going to be held by working majorities in Congress.
Next, for this week's top story from the Lafayette Newspaper, we have Brett Billings. Hi, Brett.
Hi, Sam. So the front page news for the Lafayette this week is this past Friday on October 8th, a news conference was held at the William Visual Arts Building where Governor Rendell was present as well as the Easton Mayor and other dignitaries. The announcement made was that a sizable contribution from the family of the late Morris R. Williams in $10 million was made in order to construct the Williams Art Campus down at the base of College Hill on the North 3rd Street. In 2001, a $4.5 million donation by the Williams family constructed the Williams Visual Arts Building, and then recently in the spring, open air arts plaza was constructed over the Bushkill Creek. And finally, this past August, the hubcap and wheel store was torn down to create green space along the creek. Insofar as the upcoming projects, the Club Mohican, which is the building with the red windows next to the Spot, is going to be renovated into classrooms and rehearsal space. But most exciting will be the construction of the experimental Black Box Theater with a 200-seat capacity and about 4,500 square feet of rehearsal space and production space. And that was the front page news story for the Lafayette.
Wow, that's good to know. All right, thanks, Brett. In this week's Laf Walking, with the midterms fast approaching, Kaio and Emily traveled about campus to get a sense of party affiliations among Lafayette students.
Moderate Republican.
A Democrat. I'm a Democrat. I would say a Democrat. A Republican?
Oh, well, I'm actually neither. I'm a small L libertarian.
I'd say I'm indifferent.
I don't really have a preference, to be honest, at this point in my life.
I prefer to not subscribe to any labels.
I consider myself a Republican. Moderate Republican.
I consider myself an independent.
A Republican.
Democrat.
I think I'm a libertarian.
I'm conservative.
First of all, for social issues, and then for the economy issues as well.
I do like their platform.
Because, I don't know, I don't have a good answer to that. I don't care enough about politics. That's really bad. I should care more.
I feel like it gives me more political freedom.
Because I believe in less government and lower taxes.
I don't really know. Why are you asking me these questions? Because I agree with the way the Republicans choose to spend their money.
I don't think just because someone's called a Democrat or Republican, I should necessarily agree with all of their policies. I like to pick and choose and make my own decisions.
Now for a word on our alumni story of the week. Here's Maddie. Hi, Maddie.
Hello, Sam. So I recently sat down with Lafayette alumnus Roger Newton. He is the co-discoverer of Lipitor. Lipitor is a cholesterol-reducing drug that, to this day, is the most prescribed pharmaceutical drug in the world. So here's a little bit of what he had to say.
I actually started on trying to understand how the heart functions back in 7th grade when I, went and got hearts from chickens and cows and put. Back then you couldn't do anything with the computer because it didn't exist. And I put pipe cleaners in and said which way the blood was flowing.
Oh my
and little did I know that
in 7th grade.
Yeah, this was in 7th grade. And little did I know that I was going to work on heart disease.
Wow.
For 35 years.
What were you doing on campus in your free time?
Well, I, particularly in my, when I was in my junior and senior year, I was in the lab a lot. Because I was doing independent study work in the lab, and I had an honors thesis that I was working on, and that really took a lot of my time.
Was there a specific professor who left a lasting impression on you?
It has to be Dr. Shamal K. Majumdar. He was my advisor, my mentor. I did my honors thesis with him. I can say a lot of what I became was because I started working with him.
Do you have any advice for the Lafayette students who are trying to start their careers?
Yeah, sure. I have lots of advice. Probably the most important advice is if you have a dream, follow that dream, be resilient about it, realize there's going to be forks in the road, there's going to be dead ends, and there's going to be retracing your steps to start over again. But don't allow yourself to be influenced too much by other people in a negative way. You really have to have skills when it comes to interacting with people, playing fairly with people, being part of a vibrant team, where you have multiple disciplinary scientists, in my case, contributing to the success of what you do, and celebrate when you have victories, when you have something to celebrate. Not enough people celebrate these days about being successful.
Yeah, take the time.
Yeah.
This year's Family Weekend was a big success, thanks in large part to students Emily Kimmelman and Carissa Young, who chaired the Family Weekend Committee. Many of you may not know that Family Weekend is actually organized by students, and this year they did a fantastic job. The Vibe's Andrea True brings us the highlights from Family Weekend 2010.
All Lafayette families were invited to attend. They enjoyed many activities, including a football game. It was fun for the whole family. Congratulations to the Family Weekend team. Great job, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Lafayette, and a very special thank you to alumni Christopher Caine and Roger Newton for taking the time to chat with us. We enjoyed hearing from them, and we're sure you did too. Next week on The Vibe, we will speak with more alumni about the upcoming elections. We'll take a look at the local candidates' campaigns with you, the students, in mind, and fill you in on the best-kept secrets of Lafayette. Only 19 days left until the midterm elections, so don't forget to vote. Hope you join us next week, and remember to check us out on the web at www.sites.lafayette.edu/thevibe, and you're gonna have to like us on Facebook. Until next time, as always, keep vibing, Lafayette.